Don't Go, Stories of Segregation and How to Disrupt It takes a deep dive into why some Chicagoans are afraid to travel into the South and West Sides. It also explores why telling someone not to visit a neighborhood can actually be harmful to the community.
Authors Tanika Johnson and Maria Kristen join us now to share more. Ladies, thank you for coming in. This is a conversation I think that people have had in the community, but now it's taking it to a broader audience, wouldn't you say?
Yes, for
The
sure.
idea for the book?
Yes, the idea for the book was really because we were already having these conversations, and Maria and I just really wanted to encapsulate it so people can learn Chicagoan stories on how people get told that advice, how to disrupt it, and to uplift the fact that it perpetuates the segregation in the city.
Yeah, let's talk, Maria, a little bit how it hurts communities when they're told, don't go to that community because it could be dangerous.
So I think it hurts the community because people are not going to spend their money there, and they're not investing in it. They're not going to eat there. They're just not spending their money there. But I think the other part that the stories bring out really is that it hurts the people who live there, right, in really direct and indirect ways. One of our storytellers, Leslie, talked about how people talk to her differently when they hear that she's from Humboldt Park and Cicero, and they look at her differently, and perhaps most poignantly to me, they're less curious about her when they hear where she's from. So the stereotype of the neighborhood transfers onto the person, so it's just as damaging as personal stereotypes.
Well, I mean, personally, I've experienced that myself. A lot of people don't believe I'm from K-Town. I'm from North Lawndale.
Yeah.
No, you can't be from North Lawndale. Yeah, I am. Born and raised, family still there. But you also experienced that as well, Tanika, right?
Oh, yes, I connected so much with Leslie's story and even what you're saying. And I grew up having to face that, being that I live and grew up in Inglewood, and I always heard that my neighborhood was so bad. And it really hurt me and bothered me to know that people didn't think that the beauty that I was experiencing in my home with my grandmother, the kids that I grew up with on the block, my grandmother's best friend, people thought that beauty didn't exist in the neighborhood, and it was hurtful. And when I became a parent, also realizing that my children were going through the same thing. Their friends' parents were hesitant to let their children come over. And so it really is not just political, it's personal. And when we want to understand why does segregation continue, it's that kind of statement, and it really does affect people.
So how do we correct the narrative? Because you'll see a crime on TV, right? And they do happen everywhere in the city, but let's say it's specifically on the South and West Sides, and people are like, I'm not going there because I'm worried about danger. How do we reframe that conversation so that some of the people know these are beautiful communities, just because one thing happened there doesn't ruin it?
Well, one, they could get the book. And they can read the stories of all of the Chicagoans who are part of us telling this story and helping people understand how they can disrupt it and the many ways that they can do that, but really just to challenge people when they hear that, and then also to stop saying it. So that is really just across the board what people can do, but definitely get the book. And we have some nice tips in there as well.
Talk about that. What are some of the tips?
Yeah, so I think what I love about this book is that we talk to everyday Chicagoans. We have social workers, we have teachers, we have parents, we have piano technicians, engineers, nonprofit executive directors, right? So many different people, and each of them, small business owners, Adrienne I'm thinking of, they've each figured out a way in their lives to disrupt. Once they became aware of it, they were like, okay, I own an Airbnb. I'm going to put some books in my Airbnb that encourage people to visit the South Side. I'm a small business owner and I have art. I'm going to reach out to artists from all over. My shop is on the North Side. This is Adrienne. But I'm going to reach out to artists all over the city and get Black and brown artists to show have their products in my store.
What has the response been to the book?
Well, it's been amazing, even though it's just been a few weeks that the larger public has known about it. But really, people are excited. We have a upcoming book launch, and that sold out like within 2 hours. So people are ready to have this conversation, and we really want to help people kind of arm them to defend Chicago, as well as to understand that when you talk about neighborhoods, you are talking about people. And that's what we know. It's not just geography. You're literally talking about the people who live there, which is why people are so shocked to find out you were from the West Side or I'm from Inglewood, because it lets us know that you think certain type of people live there.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Right. Words matter.
They do.
They certainly
They
do.
All right. Thank you, ladies, for coming in and sharing the book. You can find it at foldedmapproject.org. Also, how's your project going?
Oh, Unblocked Inglewood is going amazing.
Okay.
That's so
we
cool.
love to hear it. All right. Thank you, ladies.
you.
Thank you.